You see, my dearest, the general roused himself in surprise, stopping as if rooted to the spot. Maybe I spilled it out to you needlessly and improperly, but it's because you're, one might say, that sort of man. Maybe you know something particular? I know nothing about Yevgeny Pavlik, the prince murmured. Neither do I. They decidedly want to dig a hole in the ground and bury me, brother, and they refuse to understand that it's hard on a man and that I won't survive it. There was such a terrible scene just now. I'm telling you like my own son. The main thing is that Aglaya seems to be laughing at her mother. That she apparently rejected Yevgeny Pavlik about a month ago, and that they had a rather formal talk, her sisters told us, as a firm guess, however. But she's such a willful and fantastic being, it's impossible to describe. All those magnanimities, all those brilliant qualities of heart and mind, all that, perhaps, is there in her, but along with such caprices and mockeries, in short, a demoniacal character, and with fantasies on top of it. She just laughed in her mother's face, at her sisters, at Prince Shch, to say nothing of me. It's rare that she doesn't laugh at me, but what am I? You know, I love her, love it even that she laughs at me, and the little demon seems to love me especially for that is, more than the others, it seems. I'll bet she's already laughed at you for something. I just found the two of you talking. After the storm upstairs, she was sitting with you as if nothing had happened. The prince turned terribly red and clenched his right hand, but said nothing. My dear, kind Lev Nikolaich, the general suddenly said with feeling and warmth, and even Lizaveta Prokofyevna herself, who, incidentally, began railing at you again, and at me along with you and on account of you, only I don't understand what for. We love you all the same, sincerely love you and respect you, even in spite of everything, that is, all appearances. But you must agree, dear friend, you yourself must agree, what a riddle it is suddenly, and how vexing to hear, when suddenly this cold-blooded little demon, because she stood before her mother with an air of the profoundest contempt for all our questions, and mostly for mine, because, devil take me, I got foolish, I decided to show my severity, since I'm the head of the family, well, and got foolish, this cold-blooded little demon suddenly up and announced with a grin that this madwoman, that was how she put it, and I find it strange that she used the same word as you, couldn't you have figured it out by now? She says, that this madwoman has taken it into her head to marry me off at all costs to Prince Lev Nikolaich, and that's why she's trying to drive Yevgeny Pavlik out of our house. That's all she said. She gave no further explanation, just laughed loudly, while we stood there gaping, slammed the door, and was gone. Then they told me about the incident today between her and you, and, listen, my dear prince, you're a very reasonable man, not about to take offense, I've noticed that in you, but, don't be angry, by God, she's making fun of you. She does it like a child, so don't be angry with her, but it's decidedly so. Don't think anything, she simply makes fools of you and us, out of idleness. Well, goodbye. You do know our feelings? Our sincere feelings for you? They haven't changed, never, not in anything, but I go that way now, goodbye. I've rarely sat so poorly in my plate, or how does it go? That I'm sitting now 6, dacha life. Left alone at the intersection, the prince looked around, quickly crossed the road, went up to the lighted window of a dacha, unfolded a small piece of paper he had been clenching tightly in his right hand during the whole conversation with Ivan Fyodorovitch, and read, catching a faint beam of light. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning I will be on the green bench in the park, waiting for you. I have decided to talk with you about an extremely important matter that concerns you directly. P.S. I hope you won't show this note to anyone. Though I'm ashamed to write such instructions to you, I consider that you deserve it, and so I've written it, blushing with shame at your ridiculous character. P.P.S. It is that same green bench I showed you today. Shame on you. I was forced to add that as well. The note had been written hastily and folded anyhow, most likely just before Aglaya came out to the terrace. In inexpressible agitation, resembling fear, the prince again clenched the paper tightly in his hand and quickly jumped away from the window, from the light, like a frightened thief, but in making this movement he suddenly ran smack into a gentleman who turned up right at his shoulder. "I've been watching you, Prince," said the gentleman. "Is that you, Keller?" the prince cried in surprise. "I've been looking for you, Prince. I waited by the Apanchin's dacha, naturally, I couldn't go in. I followed you as you walked with the general. I'm at your service, Prince, you may dispose of Keller. Ready to sacrifice myself and even to die, if necessary. But, what for? Well, there's sure to be a challenge. This Lieutenant Molodtsov, I know him, that is, not personally, he won't suffer an insult. Our sort, that is, me and Rogozhin, he's naturally inclined to consider riffraff, and maybe deservedly, so you turn out to be the only one answerable. You'll have to pay the piper, Prince. He's made inquiries about you, I've heard, and a friend of his is sure to call on you tomorrow, or maybe he's waiting for you now. If you grant me the honor of choosing me as a second, I'm ready to accept the red cap for you, that's why I was waiting for you, Prince. So you're also talking about a duel? The prince suddenly burst out laughing, to the great astonishment of Keller. He laughed his head off. Keller, who had indeed been on pins and needles, waiting until he had the satisfaction of offering himself as a second, was almost offended, seeing how merrily the prince laughed. Nevertheless, Prince, you seized him by the arms. For a noble person, it's hard to suffer that in public. And he shoved me in the chest. The prince exclaimed, laughing. We have nothing to fight about. I'll apologize to him and that's that. But if it's a fight, it's a fight. Let him shoot, I even want it. Ha, ha.